Well, even during the lockdown, politics are still going on and people are making their decisions within their own parties. Paul Weatherall is joining us, of course, the new chairman of Lib Van. Paul, congratulations on that. This is our first time talking. I should ask you, actually, to start with, what made you take on this position?
Well, I've been involved with Liberal Vannin for a while now, and it was really just Michael stepping down. He's been chair for the last 12 months, so he's done a great job. I've been secretary for the last few months, and with Michael's got a new position which he'll be announcing later on this year, and it means that he didn't want such a high profile with Liberal Vannin, and it was suggested that I might take over. So at a meeting just over a week ago now, we put my name forward. There were no other candidates, and I was elected. And Michael has now taken over from me as secretary of Liberal Vannin.
Right. Well, obviously a big year, election year. Big plans ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're here to support our MHK, Laurie Hooper, up in Ramsey. But yes, we're planning very quickly now for the election coming up in September. Looking to select candidates to go alongside Laurie if he's standing again, and developing policies and getting our manifesto ready. So yes, a very big year, and also the local elections coming up in April, which we will still be developing a strategy for.
You see, this thing about developing strategies and what you're going to do, I mean, when do you fix it down? Do you just keep taking opinion polls from your members of what policies you want, or you'll fix it down before obviously people stand on your ticket?
Yeah, well, we want to widen it beyond our members and invite members of the public who are not directly members of Liberal Vannin to contribute to our policy framework. And we've announced that just last week, asking people to contribute to a raft of about 10 policy areas. So we're hoping that ideas will come in. But yes, we'll need to batten all that down for the local elections in March. The elections in April, we'll need to batten down in March what we're going to do there. And between March and the end of June, we'll be tightening up our manifesto ready for the election for Tynwald in September.
It's going to be interesting because the Manx Labour Party said they were also having a tweak with what their policies are. So you could all end up in the same sort of area because everyone wants to be popular, don't they? I mean, everyone's looking for the most votes.
Yes, what I'm saying is we'll be developing very individual policies for Liberal Vannin, but where they overlap with Manx Labour or the Isle of Man Green Party, we'll be very happy to cooperate with them on that. And if candidates from the three parties get elected to Tynwald in September, we'll be looking to have a progressive alliance if that's feasible.
Oh, that's interesting.
Obviously, it depends on the numbers.
That's interesting. I hadn't heard that one before. So you could all be getting into an alliance.
We'll not be planning anything before the election, but we'll see what the results are and take it from there.
Oh, I see. So depending on who gets what, then just to decide if you're going to use your weight to get together. But I'm sure
there are many areas where we can cooperate with Liberal Vannin and with Manx Labour Party and with the Isle of Man Green Party, especially on climate change provision.
You're not assuming, therefore, you're going to take the majority at the end of the day. If you think it'd be like all the different parties getting together to be a sort of opposition together.
It would be very silly to assume anything at this stage, but
yes, I know it is. It's all very interesting. Anyway, listen. The reason I wanted to talk to you today, besides this, you've just issued some information about the cannabis situation here in the Isle of Man. We can now finally the government have agreed it can be grown. Over to you exactly, because it's quite tricky. We can be grown here, but we can't consume it here. Is that right?
This week in Tynwald, they've agreed licensing regulations and also amended the Misuse of Drugs Act to make sure that anyone growing it or making products from it isn't going to be prosecuted. So we'll see who takes up those licenses. But yes, at the moment, it's for export only. So products from cannabis grown on the island can be made on the island, but not sold on the island, which is crazy in our view. I know Department of Health and Social Care are looking at medicinal cannabis regulations to see if they can be sold more readily on the island. But they're they're holding back a little bit on that. We'd like them to speed that up. I know our MHK Laurie Hooper is working on that within the Department for Enterprise. So we wish them every success in that. We also wish anyone taking up the licenses commercial success. It'll be good for jobs on the island. It'll be good for the island's economy. So we very much welcome the regulations coming in this week.
So many jurisdictions now have, legalised it, or like I think in Portugal they've made it more of a medical issue now more than anything. Go on, sorry.
I think medicinal cannabis is in the pipeline. We'd like to see it happen more quickly. But we think it's time now for a proper debate on recreational use of cannabis and a full review of the Misuse of Drugs Act. This isn't going to happen before the election, but we'd like it to be in the programme for government, whoever runs Tynwald after September. We'd like to see it in the programme for government to have a public consultation on recreational use of cannabis on the island and a review of the act, the legislation.
And we're talking about policies here. Will that be the Liberal Vannin policy to get this drug legalised?
It'll be our policy to have the review. We still to take a position on the exact legalisation of cannabis. There are different views in different jurisdictions around the world. We'd like to see it decriminalised so that people who use it in small quantities don't risk a criminal record and they don't risk going to jail. We think that's ridiculous. The war on drugs has failed. We need to have a different way forward.
But you'll make your decision up when you've done a poll. It all sounds a bit like, well, you don't want to upset anybody there particularly. You're going to have to make your decision.
The main thing we're asking for is this review of the legislation and public consultation so the Isle of Man government can find out exactly what the views of the Manx public are. We believe that it's time for change. Our manifesto for Tynwald in September will detail our position, but we'll be working on exactly what we're calling for between now and then. But we are definitely calling for a review of the legislation and public consultation.
It's been pointed out to me at the end of the day,
use of cannabis.
Because of our agreement with the UK, we can't do much here because we don't have a customs border. We have a common system with the UK, so there can't be any changing, particularly of laws here, until the UK changes their views. And do you understand that? Unless you bring in customs points, it's going to be impossible, isn't it?
There's already checks on cannabis coming backwards and forwards over the border, but yes, we would need to liaise with the Department of Justice in the UK as to how the legislation would work. It's going to be a few years into the new Tynwald before legislation would happen following the consultation, and we're sure that things are changing fast everywhere. I'm sure that the UK is likely to change in the next few years as well.
And have you got somewhere people go to express their views to your party? Have you got a website or a form they fill in, or what?
Yes, liberalvannin.im. If people want to make comments there, we've got a Twitter account. We're on Facebook, or people can contact me directly, paul.weatherall@mikes.net.